Hey guys, this is MongolianMindset, and today we have one of our loyal members with us. If you want to be typed by us, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and join the Discord. And from there's a channel request a typing service. But hey, Daniel, man, you don't have to go into anything you're not comfortable with, but can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Daniel Hanna. I'm 21. Um, uh, I have a daughter. I work. That's really it. I don't really have too much going on in my life other than whatever my main goals are, work or my daughter.
Hmm. Man, so what are three words someone used to describe you?
3 words to describe me. I'd say number one is eccentric. The closer you get to know me, the more crazy I seem, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, two, oh man, that's actually, I don't know why that's such a hard question. Um, mm, I don't know. Simple, I guess, minimalistic. I don't really have too much going on in my life. I don't like to overcrowd it. I don't like to spend the excess money. Three, inquisitive. I guess that's probably a good term as well. I really like to know things. I'm constantly asking people questions. I've been in typology for maybe 2 years now, and I've kind of been obsessed with it.
Mhm.
So I like typing other people. I like to get to know people. I like analyzing people, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what got you into typology, man?
I was sitting at a car dealership I was working at, and I was really bored. And I was like, is this really what I'm gonna do with the rest of my life? So I looked up 16 personalities, and I remember, I think, I won't get into anything. I'm not sure if you care if I talk about what 16 personalities typed me as or not
No, it doesn't
before.
matter. It doesn't matter.
So it typed me initially as an infj, and then and I was like, I read the description, and it was like, that doesn't seem like me. So I got infp. And then I started like just going down a rabbit hole of looking into cognitive functions and actually trying to understand my types. So I've been through a lot of different types, but I think the original reason why I got into typology was trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life. And I was looking for options that would be more tailored for me. But I
Mhm.
realized typology was never going to actually like give me that direction. And I honestly discovered it before I ever even found the concrete type, like what my direction in life is.
Okay, okay. What's your direction in life, man?
Just raise my daughter. Just do a good job. Take things one step at a time. Don't overthink things. Um, make make money and help others. It's very broad in general, but I realize that if I try to find something way too specific, I um, I kind of like short circuit. I don't really go anywhere. So it's just like keeping your options open and just doing the most logical next step. That's my direction in life.
Thomas, anything?
Yeah. So you said you worked at a car dealership, right?
Mhm.
What were you doing? Were you sales or what were you doing?
Yeah, I
Oh
was
yeah.
working for, yeah.
And how did that go for you?
It was all right. I uh, I was working there. It would have been October of 22. I started working there,
Yeah.
and I remember that was right before interest rates started increasing.
Okay.
So I was doing pretty good until interest rates were just starting to climb up, and I was losing so many sales. And I think it was probably a month and a half in. I think I kind of abandoned it a little bit quickly, but I was like a month and a half into working there, and I just kept seeing this trend of like the interest rates were not going to drop back down. I was losing sales. Winter time was coming. I wasn't making enough money to, you know, do what I need to do, support my family. So
Hmm.
I was just like, you know what, this is really not working, and they kind of understood it, and that's when I kind of separated from it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What do you want to be remembered for?
A member,
Remembered.
I
Remembered.
remembered for.
Like you're dead. Baked chicken.
I don't know yet, but I do know that I want. I've told this to people before, but I just want to make some sort of impact in the world. I don't know what that impact is yet, but I want to change something in some way, like in a way that even if people don't remember my name, they remember like what I've done is still present. And I don't know if I'm ever going to reach that. And I feel like I'm at peace now. If that doesn't ever happen, but I'm working, just continue to work towards whatever. Like if that lineage is, or that, what you call it, if if that legacy is like my family or my children or something like that, that's completely fine. I want to I want to leave a mark in some sort of way. So that doesn't really specifically answer your question, but I just said I want to be remembered. um, but that's probably the best answer I can give.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you think are your best skills?
I learn quickly. I learn very quickly. I tend to understand things at a deep level, um, better than other people. If that's maybe that's arrogant, but I definitely learn quickly. I I'm good at reading people. I know what people's deeper intentions are. Um, I would say those two are probably my greatest skills. I'm still working. I have a lot of weaknesses I need to work on. I'm still young, so it's underdeveloped, if you can say.
What do you think is something that gives you anxiety?
For the longest time, what gave me, I mean, that's the definition of anxiety is worrying about the future. I was worried that I wasn't going to be enough for, I mean, maybe a certain romantic partner, or I wouldn't be able to raise my daughter in the right way. Or I'm worried that, worried that I wouldn't be enough. But I've learned how to let go of those things, and that again, that's given me more peace in my life.
Okay. What do you get your self? What do you get your sense of worth from?
Competency, perceived competence. If people could perceive me as competent, that's how I feel like I have worth. If I don't feel like people view me as competent, I start almost people pleasing them. Like I start to push myself harder and harder and harder until like I get that perceived competency.
Anything?
Yeah. How well, because I mean, yeah, I mean you're pretty young, and like, most people these days, they don't have children as young as you do. So like, how do you feel like having a child has changed you?
It's made me more mature and it's pushed me down a path. It forces you to make decisions, hard decisions that most people put off. I've noticed that it's like people at my age tend to I mean, I don't really have all my stuff together anyways, but people don't really feel pressure to build responsibility, and I've realized how positive that can be in somebody's life. So if that's like if that's like the number one advice I give anybody, it's just to uh, to harbor responsibility. And I think that is the most positive way it's impacted my life. I don't think it's really impacted me in a negative way, especially saying, I mean, I was young. I was 17 when I had my kid. And everybody was like, I wouldn't say everybody, but I could tell people were thinking like if they had a child in my age, it would ruin their life. It doesn't. It just forces you to adapt. So either you run away from it or you handle it.
Okay. Hmm. If you can implement anything into the world, what would it be?
Came into the world. It's a really hard question, just because there's so much that I would implement. Um, I don't know. It would be something related to perspective. Like most people don't like. I remember when I worked in sales. Like I remember I talk about this all the time. It's like everybody should work sales at least 1 month in their life so they understand what it's like to be a salesman. Um, Same thing with my current position in life. I can't give you anything specific on that. It's just giving people the opportunity to see a perspective you have. Like if somehow you could systematize that and allow people to like make it almost like a prerequisite or like a class or something, like that's so broad in general. I don't that's not a really good answer. But something that forces people to open their mind to possibilities they've never seen before. Yeah.
Do you see
Hmm.
yourself as a pretty open-minded person or a closed-minded person? Why or why not?
I'm pretty open-minded. Um, yeah, I'm pretty open-minded. I don't think I'm as open-minded as I used to think I was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, however, I don't judge people really ever. I see people and I see their strengths and their weaknesses, and I see like how I can help them in a certain way, or or what they need to focus on to grow as an individual. However, yeah, I would say I'm a pretty open-minded person, just because, again, like I was saying, I'm just repeating myself now. I don't really judge anybody in any capacity whatsoever, because I can always see how somebody, even if they're an evil person, how that could be me. Or even new ideas. Like, I understand how people fall into traps of like negative, or I guess evil in the sense, ideologies. Or like I can always see where somebody's coming.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
So, what are three things you value? And you can't use like family or friends.
Uh, Three things I value. Oh man. Um, the opportunity I've been given. I mean, it's probably stereotypical, but just looking at like other countries, I mean, being in the U.S., you just have opportunity everywhere, and it's not as great as it used to be, but it's still pretty good. I'd say a lot of people don't realize that the opportunity that they had. Like, my dad came from Egypt, and he immigrated here, and it gave him a lot more opportunity. And for me as well, like somebody in my position was kind of messed up a lot, messed up a lot in his life. You see that you still have so many different options. Um, uh, Anything else? Yeah, that's the first thing I was thinking about was family. Um, the question was grateful, right?
Hmm?
The question was asking like what, like, I'm
No,
grateful
it's
for.
just like what are three things you value? They can't be family, friends.
Um, oh man, I think that's really it. That's not again, that doesn't completely answer your question, but I don't. I guess there's nothing that I hold dear and tight other than family, friends, and I would say that I've been giving a lot of opportunity to just grow. Is that good enough? What do you
That's
want me
fine.
to?
What do you
Okay.
think are your weak spots?
Um, I can be quite. I can be a pretty big procrastinator. Just pushing things off to the last second. Um, I can I can be prideful sometimes and arrogant. Um, that holds me back, and I'm not always listening to everybody else when I should be. Um, those would be the two main ones. Yeah,
Hmm?
those would be the two main ones.
Okay. What are some things you're trying to work on about yourself?
I guess body is the first thing. Um, you know, keeping myself healthy. I would say I've been slacking on that lately, just with work and everything. I do have the time, but I'm not really prioritizing it. But gym. I used to do jujitsu as well. That's for that's I've noticed that my reflexes and my reflex coordination and cardio have really gone up from that. I try to work on my spirituality. I'm Christian. I haven't always been Christian, but I'm really focusing on that, trying to build my relationship with God. Um, I think willpower is also a big one. Just like pushing myself through things I feel uncomfortable, just so I can the next thing that gets in my way that's even harder to overcome that I can push past it as well. Yeah.
How often do you try new things?
Try new things. Mm-hmm. I'd say I'm pretty sedentary. If somebody asked me to go to a new restaurant or something, I'm completely down to go to it. But I guess I tend to stay stuck in my ways. I have like a, oh, I guess I don't try things too much on my own. I'm not like, I don't have like a free day and I'm just like going to go try something new. If I have a free day, I'm just going to go work on the things I need to work on. So unless somebody's pushing me to do it, I don't really try anything too much, if that makes sense.
What do you think life means to you? What does life mean to you?
Like the meaning of life or purpose of life.
Yeah.
I guess I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, I guess ultimately as a Christian, it's, devotion to God and just living out your purpose of like what God wants from you, taking care of your responsibilities. Um, Purpose in life, meaning I don't think beyond like religion and God, I don't think there really is any other purpose that is already there, preset. I think you can build your own purpose. Like you can, like if you feel like you have the ability to help people in a great way, then that becomes your purpose. I think I was so focused on like finding my purpose for a long time that I just kind of became like sedentary and didn't really do anything because I just felt like I couldn't move forward without having it. But your purpose tends to come to you, not the other way around. I would say find God and he will point you in whatever your direction, whatever in this life you're supposed to do.
Okay. Thomas, anything?
Um, if you I guess, all right, what's like, I know you're kind of young, but what's like maybe like a good piece of life advice that you feel like you can give somebody?
I think I pointed that out earlier. It really depends on what your point in life is.
Oh,
But for my peers, it's take on responsibility in your life. Don't like you will always be a child no matter your age if you don't take on responsibility. For me, it was kind of forced on me, but even then, it's just like if you live with your parents, move out. If you don't have a car, buy a car. If you don't really have any friends, find some friends to help out. If you're not in a relationship, enter a romantic relationship if you're ready for it, and devote yourself to that person. It's always add responsibility. Now there is a point where you add too much responsibility, and then you kind of deplete yourself. Um, and in that case, I would say, but I guess it's advice is going to always be tailored to every individual. But I would say universally, it's like especially in this culture, it's like people avoid responsibility like the plague. Yeah, I guess that's my answer.
yeah, that's true though.
What's a piece of advice you would tell your younger self? That's totally
Don't.
different.
It's the same. Honestly, man, it's like the same like advice I would tell myself now. It's just to move forward. Again, like I like for 2 years, I didn't like I was so focused on trying to figure out what that one path is forward that I never like I just didn't move. And it's just like and now I look back in my past, it's like I had this opportunity show up, I had this opportunity show up, I had this opportunity show up, and I just didn't take them. And you don't I guess it's don't waste time and take opportunities as they come. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink. That's a good one. Don't overthink.
Okay. Thomas, we done?
Yeah, I think so, man.
All right, man. So we know you are very well versed in typology, I hope.
Okay.
That was your claim. What I noticed very early on with you, man, a lot of if statements, right? If this, then that, if this, if this, if this, if this. Even in the little tirade you went on maybe 5 minutes ago, it was a whole bunch of if this, do this, do this. That's referencing an internal logical framework, right? It seems
Yeah.
that you're very prideful in understanding things at a deeper level. That's one of your claim to fame there. So we hit you for TIFE on that, right? So that eliminates, a lot of types there. You can't be a T user if you're a TI user, obviously. Um, then we noticed like you were talking about things one step at a time, keep options open and doing the most logical step, right? So that's like more of a TI and progression thing, right? So you seem to have a progression like you're about the journey of life. One of the big things I noted down with you was like purpose tends to come to you, not the other way around, right?
Mm.
So I have a problem with that because I think you find your purpose, like but I'm different than you. I mean, I'm an NI user, right? So I know my purpose and I've been known it since I was a kid. It's just about doing it. But you, on the other hand, you seem to struggle with that. You seem to struggle with finding your NI vision, right? The NI is just, it's slowly coming there. So we hit you for SINE, right? And progression, and abstract. So we hit you for ENTP.
Okay.
What'd you type yourself as?
Huh?
What'd you type
As
yourself as?
intp. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
perfect.
I've been typed 3 other times. I've been typed at isfj, entp, estp, and an infj. And
INFJ. Okay.
yeah, and that one threw off me, just being typed beta quadrant in general, because I knew I was either alpha or beta. Like everybody I've been typed by is like, you're very TIFE. I'm like, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, and the first typing I ever got was ESFJ, and I think I went into it a bit tired, a bit nervous. So
Mhm.
I think I tried to put too much of an FE show on.
Yeah. Well,
However,
I will say you're normalizing ENTP, and that really makes people struggle with that typing, right? Normalizing ENTPs are more conventional, right? They're not just like brainstorming out the wazoo like a creative ENTP is, which is like the stereotypical
yeah,
ENTP, right? So it makes
um,
it a lot harder for people to actually recognize it.
yeah, and that ENTP was like, I, you're seeing a little bit more of a mask on me right now.
Well,
If
all
you look at it
ENTPs
at
wear
work,
masks.
if I'm comfortable around somebody, I'll allow my real personality to come out, which is a lot more eccentric, like I was saying before. But I'm incredibly talkative, and I just say the stupidest things, just like constantly.
Mhm.
Um, However, I normalizing ENTP is probably realistic, just because I think Dario Nardi's scheme is you can shift between them. I can see myself as being more creative, like more of a creative ENTP subtype.
But
Um,
see, I'll push back on that. The
mhm.
reason with that, when you're saying like creative, so you got to remember your personality type off rip, right? So an ENTP as a whole is a creative personality type, right?
Yeah,
Like let's say if you were to say an INFJ and somebody was to say, "Oh, I'm a harmonizing INFJ," it's like, hold up, all INFJs are empathetic, okay? So you got to look at it as a whole, like. Would you rate yourself with Kanye West? That would be like a creative ENTP. Kanye West, MGK, like all these guys. You probably wouldn't be there, right? Because there any jumps off the screen, right? It just jumps off the screen. Like there's no way you can miss it.
no,
But yours
yeah,
is
and that's
not as like out there. It's kind of
mhm.
more controlled. You
Yeah,
seem to
no,
be
I I don't know if that's from like life experience, just because I don't know, like I was a really weird kid, and I didn't really fit in. So then I kind of just got beating down, kept getting beat down and beat down and beat down,
mhm,
until like I just had to be forced to fit in.
mhm,
And I think in the last last year or so, I've really just been able to just embrace myself and be myself, instead of worrying what other people think about me.
mhm.
Um, but no, I definitely agree with like normalizing. as the entp subtype. It makes the most sense in general. Just have a much more
They're a little bit
common.
more polished. Like if you'll notice, the creatives aren't as polished, right? They have a hard time with responsibilities. They are like super mega flighty.
Yeah.
I joke around calling them abstract ESFPs, bro. You don't sound like an abstract ESFP. I'm sorry. Um, because they're just all over the place, man. They have like it's just too much. It's and they're very rebellious as well. That's one of the things about being a creative type. They're like the most rebellious. You seem to be very like more conventional, man. You seem to be, but there's nothing wrong with that, bro. Like to me, I feel like you should, if you're an ENTP, you should try to be either normalizing or dominant. Either one of those two, you're rolling good. Now you roll creative, you like get things going on top of get things going, and that's like chaos.
Yeah, no, I think for me, I like I realized within the first 2 or 3 months of typology, like what my weaknesses and strength were. I knew I was an intuitive dominant. I was sensing inferior. I knew I had TIFE in the middle. That's why I kind of INFJ kind of was there for a little bit. I mean, it's not common for somebody to type themselves upside down. But I knew that I had a problem with like a sensory, like I can't focus, I can't sit down and like stick with the sensory for a very long time. And I realized that was my weakness. And I realized that if I just kind of force that and just keep pushing, that I'm just going to build that resilience. So just like saying like a simple habit, like a prayer at night,
That sounds like
or
SI inferior.
yeah,
Building
like
SI
making my bed in
inferior.
the morning or something like that. Just like making sure that SI stays there. Because I know,
I
yeah,
mean,
I don't know where I'm going with that, but
yeah, I think
yeah,
like a lot of times, like people, like I said, the ENTP in itself is a hard person to type, right? But like when you don't have the NE jumping off the screen, it makes it even harder for some people to type them,
and
right?
I think that's why I was typed as an ESFJ.
Yeah,
But I can tell my TI is parent,
yeah,
not inferior.
yeah, yeah.
It's very argumentative. I will if you go against my logical framework, I will start fighting.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's completely like I mean, to me, it's pretty easy to see, but like again, dude, we got like close to damn near 200 like personal typing videos. It's like at this point, I don't really think there's many MBTI people that got actually more like in real experience than us. Like we just
Oh
every week
yeah,
it's like four. Every week it's like fucking four. If I open it up to Sundays, it'd be six. Like I'm like, oh shit. Um, so it makes it easy for us to see. It's like, you know, to me it was pretty easy to see the TIFE, SINE, and progression. We were down pretty quick to ESFJ and ENTP, and I'm not getting TI inferior. I'm not getting NI trickster.
I was honestly assuming you're gonna like. So going into this, I had a good feeling you're gonna type me as an ENTP. However, I knew ESFJ was because I was talking a lot about responsibility, and like that's something that's more new into my life, which should be a marker more for SI. But I guess what made you make that decision between ESFJ and ENTP? I don't really understand your system as much, to be honest.
Okay, so there's two different metrics between ESFJ and the ENTP. ENTPs are pragmatic, so they care really about autonomy, right? While the ESFJ is more about interdependence. It's about like belonging, um, that type of thing. And the ENTP is more about competence. Like you said, when I hit you with that one question, where do you get your sense of value from? You said competence, which is TI parent, and you said make it. And then if that doesn't work, you start people pleasing FE child. So that was
Yeah.
easy for me to see those two right there in real time and grab those two, right? As in ESFJ would say different things, right? Because they have FI in the opposing spot, right? And then they also have SI and NE. So it manifests totally different. But that was one
Well,
key point I took from that.
and also just like how much his TI is in our face, like, and not. I don't think we've typed a single ESFJ because they're not interested. They're like one of the types that are least interested in typology, but they wouldn't be slapping us in the face with TI fucking every other sentence. Like your TI is like pretty prominent, like as you've suggested. Like everyone who's typed you has noticed your TI. ESFJs, they're more of, you know, I'm not saying that they're dumb, but they're just more about like fucking like social norms and, you know.
No,
Or,
yeah, I get it.
or they just fucking ask you. Basically, Ti and Fury makes you think for them. Like when I'm around Ti and Fury, they always make me think for them, and I'm like, yo, so I'm doing all the thinking today, motherfucker. Like when I'm at work and I'm working with ESFJ, so like, damn, motherfucker, I gotta do all the thinking today. You can't just. I'm like, you know the fucking answer. Why you ask me? Like you know that's my thing.
I
Like you know the
definitely noticed
fucking
that with
answer.
younger ESFJs. They always come to me for like, I guess they're very attracted by TI. They want to they want to feel like they're smart, and like I'd always hear like you're the only like out of all my friends, you're like the only one who like has like deep conversations. So for me, deep conversations are pretty
Mhm.
normal. However, they really want to feel like that TI inferior is like being activated. But I've noticed with older ESFJs that they're a lot, especially when they know what they're doing. When they have that SI routine, like I work with ESFJ. She's 38, I believe. TI is definitely a lot more developed, but she's been working where I've been working at for about a decade now, maybe a little bit over a decade. She knows everything she's doing. I can ask her questions, and she like knows how she would do it in her procedure. It is still a little bit half baked. Like I've noticed that TI inferior can be it can be very devoid of TE, so they
Mhm.
forget about like how does my system affect other people, or like how easily can other people figure out my systems in general, like just putting things in a weird order that makes sense to them but nobody else, and that tends to be their TI. And once they can kind of incorporate the FE into it, then they can start to see like, oh, maybe the system doesn't work great for everybody, and then they can start to figure out that TE demon.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's my perspective on it, at
I just
least.
noticed the difference between SFJs is when they impact on a system, it's not really into improvement. It's for
Mm-hmm.
comfort. Therefore, they
Mm-hmm.
rarely ever change it, right? While
Yeah.
it's like if you are an NT, you're radically changing your system to modify it to get it to make it better and better and better
Right.
and better and better.
So I
They
work
don't
at a,
really do it.
Quick Trip.
Who?
Quick Trip.
I've heard of it. I'm not.
It's a gas station chain down in the
Oh
south.
yeah, okay,
So,
okay.
yeah. However, I work there right now. I literally, well, other than that, like I see my work and like I have blocks of work like systems, and I'm
Mm,
constantly like trying to find a new way I can make it more efficient. And that's literally just my work constantly. And I'm about to move into a position where it's all about efficiency. I'm working night
mm.
shifts, and I'll be the only one there. So it's how quickly can you do a certain task. And I'm always experimenting with a new way of doing it so that I can get through it as quickly as possible.
Well, a new way would be any, but like me,
Yeah.
I'll just look at a system and I know the best way to do it, and I'll just shrink that motherfucker over time to make it even more efficient.
But that's going to be limited by your SC. If you
Yeah,
don't have like you could like what's your type? I
ENTJ.
intj. Okay, I'm not too familiar with your channel.
Mhm.
So the reason why I did that was because I was grazing by and I saw that your typing sessions were free, and I've been kind of burned in the past by overanalyzing how somebody does it. So I
Mhm.
knew that if I went into your typing session with with like knowing how you type, I'm gonna like start to preemptively like give you answers to lean towards one type or another type subconsciously. So
Mhm.
I held back trying to figure out how you do your typing so that now
Mhm.
that I can go into it, I can kind of see like, oh, that's how that reflects on me,
Mhm.
blah 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 blah. I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? But
It's all good, brother. Got the fucking ENTP, bro. There's a story there. There's some point there. I just think it's pretty easy to see, man. We follow the same system, but the thing is like you never know what questions we're gonna ask and when we're gonna ask, right? You know, I may fucking start out fucking three fucking things in a row, and then in my brain says, you know what, time to switch it up on this motherfucker or something, or I'll just, especially because I got Christian, he's always like, bro, you need to make it more interesting. You need to make it more interesting. So I try to dive more into like the questions or like the stuff that you guys are interested in instead of just like flipping it to another question and another question just to like
I mean,
get the
you're
session over
systematic
with.
and like you kind of just like following that TE structure. You're not
Yeah.
really it's not really like a TI understanding. Like you're not seeing like a connection that's outside of your TE framework. It's just like if this and this and this, like not in a TI way, but
So
TE. I'm not a TE user, so
there's two
I'm
different type of things, right? So like even when you hear a TE user talk about if this and that, usually it's like a flow chart that's outward, right?
exactly.
So it's a
Yeah.
flow chart that I would give to anybody. That's a TE that's
And
a
I've been
TE
typed by
structure.
an ESFP, and like she has a whole PowerPoint slide that if you're going from this to that, like it outsources the TI into a TE system that
Yeah,
everybody can use.
yeah.
But like it's like in that sense, I would assume that you're not the most adaptable. I feel like a TI user they tend to build their own system anyways. It's not
Mm-hmm.
something like OPS, for instance, is a very TE system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like TI, do you know Eric Strauss?
Yeah, I know X. I mean, I've seen his channel.
He's an ENTP. His typing is very unique to him, and you can tell like he would have no problem making it very interesting, just because he understands everything that he does so well that he can just maneuver through this TI landscape to
I think that's more of an
effectively.
NE. That's more of an NE thing, you know. Like I've noticed things about NTPs is they well, especially ENTPs, they'll create a system that's very fluid, right? It's fluid, right? So that means like there's a million different things they can do to get to the end result, right? But
Yeah.
like an NTJ makes that system like you either get one choice or two choice. You ain't getting all these fucking choices. Like an ENTP will give you so many choices. That's why like a lot of the dating coaches they make systems for people, but they don't realize they're making ENTP systems, and then like they give it to other people, and other people don't know what the fuck to
Yeah,
do because
exactly.
they don't see all the options of what they could do, right?
Mhm.
As you guys
No,
see all the options, so usually your systems are more fluid.
yeah, it's you sometimes underestimate or you sometimes forget that other people, like your own saviors, are not other people's natural saviors.
Hmm.
It does not sense.
Yeah, it's like the projection. Like we all think that people see things the way we do, so we usually make things the way that we want them. And then you
Are you
get people like,
familiar
you
with
don't know this, like you can't do this. Like what the fuck?
are you familiar with OPS?
No, I'm not.
Okay. They're the type they believe like the jumpers and like 512 subtypes.
Hmm.
They're primarily I think it's just a different focus, I guess. But I've been kind of more obsessed with their work recently, just because
Hmm.
they have a massive like on their website they have a massive library of types. They tend to type people and like because it's just I already had the kind of framework already. They're
Hmm.
type they're ending they're the people like the way they type people. I tend to find like a different type for that person in general.
I
I don't know.
don't think they're that great at typing. I think that's
No,
one thing
I
I
don't.
do know about them. They're not that great at typing. But
No.
hey, I mean, it's hard for people like because we have proven metrics and we go back to our metrics over and over and over and over. It's like you just know, like we're looking for progression outcome. We're looking for TIFE. We're looking for this or that. Like we're not just like it's the system is just there, bro. It's like I think
Mhm.
by far is the best reproducible, but you just have to learn it. It takes a couple times. It takes a while to be able to distinguish progression versus outcome. I would say, and maybe direct versus informative sometimes because there's several different versions of informative. Um,
And the thing
but
is, like, your system is probably the one I'm least, well, not least familiar with. There's a plenty of systems out there, but I'm not very familiar with your system in general. And that's what I'm probably after this. I'm probably gonna start just watching the crap of YouTube videos to figure
hey,
it out.
definitely go for it. But man, it's been a pleasure, man. I got to get out of here because I got the fucking mega live in like 15 minutes. I
I
gotta like
gotcha.
readjust my brain, man. It's been a pleasure, man. Questions are always open. Tom's, you got anything you want to say?
No, man. We'll catch up.
All right,
Cool.
brother.
All
Take
right,
it
peace
easy.
out.